recording. I made some ghee. It's not solid. The center of the pot is oily. Is that okay? Rajvinder can answer that, but it needs to cool down and then it'll become solid, you know.
Yeah, it needs to cool down maybe. Or it is, if the weather is warm where you live, might be melting because of that. Normally it should be solid whole way, whole pot. Shouldn't be just melted in the center. I hope you cooked it enough. Sometime if you haven't cooked it enough, that could be the reason.
So Michelle says, a bit confused, if you have one dosha out of balance, which is opposite to another dosha, are you not putting the other dosha out of balance? Generally not, Michelle. So what you do is you take the, like, it wouldn't matter if you're Pitta, but let's say you're suffering from anxiety and insomnia. So, but you're a Pitta person in general, but you're suffering from anxiety and insomnia. They're Vata conditions. So you need to balance. It's your Vata that's out of balance there, you know. So let's say you're suffering from anxiety and insomnia and you also happen to be getting angry, which is a Pitta condition, okay? So you take the one that's most relevant to get back into balance, you know, and you'll find actually by balancing your Vata, which would be taking it easy and, you know, nice warming foods and things like that, it'll also have an effect on bringing the Pitta back into balance as well. So you just work on whatever the major ones are and you bring that back into balance, and then you can bring the other dosha back into balance. But one doesn't necessarily knock the other out, you know.
Yeah, you have to do very carefully. Like if you're Pitta and you're not, Pitta is more balanced by cold food, cooling things. That doesn't mean you're eating frozen food or cold food from the fridge. So you're still eating warm cooked meal and maybe not putting too many hot spices. So that way you're balancing the Vata and the Kapha around it.
And if you have a good routine, that'll balance all of your doshas, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, you know. So it's very important to have a good routine and have a good morning routine as well, which is a very important part of the day. So that's going to be good for everybody. You can just, you know, if you're doing an abhyanga, you can just vary the oil depending on whether it's sesame oil or coconut oil, and depending on the season and things like that. So the more you get to know about it, the more you'll be able to make the right decisions. Because I'm Pitta Vata, you know, but it tends to be Vata problems that Vata tends to be the one that goes out of balance the easiest, especially if you're overdoing it, you know. Do you take Triphala continuously or take a break? It's always good to take a break from these things. It's even better to follow the advice of an Ayurvedic doctor. But, you know, I take Triphala quite a lot. It's an absolutely wonderful herb. Just take 2 going to bed at night time. It's fantastic. But yeah, stop for a month and then go back on it. And the same with Chyavanprash or Amrit Kalash or any of those things. Take them and then stop them. And, you know, variety is a great, great thing in life, you know. So there's, unless you have a specific condition that you're taking it for, and in that case you would follow the advice of your Ayurvedic doctor.
But PC said, yeah. It's better to take a break. If you're just taking in general for a tonic, then you just take one and stop it for a week and then start again. If you have sluggishness, metabolism reason, yeah, you still give it a little break for a few days because it gets used to your system and it start working like a food rather than working like a herb. And the PC saying can use mint into the lemon water. Yeah, absolutely. No problem with that during detox.
Hi, Dr. Brennan.
Good afternoon, or good evening. Good evening,
Hello, Dr. Dan.
How are you?
Working very hard today.
What?
Must have been working very hard today, she said.
I was slaving away.
Well, we were slaving away as well, I'm telling you. We had a busy day today.
Did you?
Yeah. We were getting the last of the detox packs out, so they're all on their way now anyway. So,
well, it's good for your sins that you do a bit of penance.
I have a lot of sins, so I need to do a lot of good, you know.
Right.
We won't go into that though.
That'd be an interesting one.
We'll do a separate webinar on the early years, yeah. They weren't so sattvic, I can tell you that much for nothing.
Oh, no.
A liquid week had a completely different meaning back then.
Oh dear, no.
Don't tell them.
The Ayurvedic point of view on drinking water for a copper vessel, very good for you. Very good for you.
It increases your agni. The influence of copper is to improve your metabolism, your digestive fires.
Yeah, so it is an actual Ayurvedic. That's where it's an Ayurvedic thing. It's a yogic and Ayurvedic recommendation. So that's where it actually comes from. You know, any thought on tooth abscess? Very, very painful. There's There's lots of, actually, we're going to do a webinar on oral health. Dr. Nahid is going to do it, but there are lots of things in Ayurveda. Like there's herbal toothpaste, there are tooth powders, there's mouthwashes, and we even have a gum oil now, or a healthy gum ointment
Massage oil.
that we have.
Massage oil.
Yeah, I just haven't managed to put it up on the website yet, but yeah. So, but an abscess, Don, what do you think if you actually have?
Oh, horrible sore thing.
Trifle.
The immediate thing to do is to, as soon as you see it, put the triplet tablet and a 505 tablet against the gum when you're going to bed at night. And in the morning, when you wake up, it'll be a gooey mess that you rinse out, because the purpose is to draw out the toxins. And so you don't swallow it, you rinse it out and spit it out in the morning. And if it's developing, I would just keep the triplet tablet there day and night. And you may just nip it in the bud then. But if it's actually developed, get to your dentist very quick, because it's a very sore thing if it just swells up on you.
And Vincent says, do you need to heat the oil for oil pulling in the morning? Not really. No, I wouldn't tend to heat the oil. It's room temperature,
But if you could, it's better.
Yeah, I would for an Abhyanga for sure. I'd heat the oil for an Abhyanga, but just to rinse my mouth out, maybe it's better, Dr. Rajvinder says, but it wouldn't be something that I would tend to do. But if you have the time, then that's great. And if you're doing the Abhyanga and you're heating the oil anyway, just use some of the heated oil then.
Especially the coconut oil. If you're using coconut oil, it's a solid, then better to be warm.
So somebody's asking, should it be liquid or a solid? Coconut and sesame for massage? Well, they'd want to be liquid. And that's why with the coconut oil, you'd want it a bit warm so that you can easily take it and apply it or spread it and then massage it in. And please go through the massage technique, because Vata is down in the pelvis and below. And when it gets excited, it pushes up in the body. We do our Abhyanga or our oil massage from head down. So when you've smeared the oil on, you start with the head and you do the head and you come down along, and then you do your neck well. You're doing circle on joints. You're doing straight in between the joints, circle on joints, straight in between, in the direction of the ribs on your chest and up and down the mid bone, and a circle on your tummy and your back as much as you can. Circle your hips straight, circle the knees straight, and then a good foot massage. Ideally, you have a wonderful partner who does your massage for you, but that's not always available. Yeah. So then you leave the oil on for 10 minutes while you wash your hair, wash your teeth, wash your everything, and then you step in and have your shower. And when you get out of the shower, use an old towel, because the towel gets oily. And when it comes to cleaning that towel, soak it overnight in sudsy water so that it'll help to remove some of the oil when you put it in the washing machine.
But if you're not washing your hair, don't put oil into your hair. That's ladies say, oh, I don't wash my hair every day. So you can avoid the massaging oil into your hair.
Actually, we cover a lot of that today in the daily routine anyway. There's a lot of that covered today.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So Mary's ahead of us today.
Yeah, Mary's ahead of us, yeah. Something after you just put ordinary tap water in the copper cup. I'd be reluctant to use ordinary tap water for anything in some ways, because I don't know about your tap water, but our tap water in Drogheda is just awful, So I just have a filter that I buy, and I just filter the water and then put that in the copper cup, But the copper cup will purify the water, but whether it'll take out the fluoride and the chlorine, I'm not too sure. Don, what do you think? I think better to filter the water before you.
Oh, no, better to filter it.
Yeah.
If you boil the water and it's impure, you're just concentrating the impurities in the water, So you want to start with pure water. And if a person is a Pitta nature, has been on a high protein diet for a long time for muscle building, would this lead to gastrointestinal problems? Not necessarily gastrointestinal problems, but it's very hard on the kidneys, because the protein that's excessive has to be broken down, and that then requires a lot of uric acid for the kidneys to be getting rid of. And that's the problem with very high protein diets. It's people's kidneys that tend to suffer. You don't need a lot of protein. People have an overestimate of the amount of protein they need, and there's adequate and more than adequate protein on a vegan diet even, because now you have world-class athletes, even Mr. Atlases, who are purely on a vegan diet. And so you want a little bit more protein if you're muscle building, but not a lot.
Yeah, it does set up gastrointestinal issues, can give stomach pain or IBS kind if you're not digesting it properly. So maybe don't overdo it.
Yeah, it is. It does take some digesting. It does take some digesting protein.
So Mary says, in relation to castor oil packs, I started a week ago, but not feeling any effect. Well, Mary, who was your doctor? Who advised you to take castor oil packs? You'd want to speak to whoever.
Probably me.
Was it? Yeah.
I don't know, but if it was,
Well, then you should just email Dr. Brennan, privately.
Good.
If it was a direction from the doctor.
And Mary's looking for miracles here, Yeah. And of course, Ayurveda needs time.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't know who the Mary is, and we don't know whether we recommended it to or not. So, Mary, if it was Dr. Brennan, if you saw one of our doctors and they recommended it for a reason, and you're not feeling anything yet, then the thing to do is email the doctor directly, and as part, as a continuation of your consultation. Okay, I think we're ready to get going. We've a lot to cover this evening. We've 246 people on, so we're doing the rhythms of nature today. We've done Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So I'm assuming you all have a brilliant understanding of the nature of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and we'll be asking questions later on to see if you have or don't have, And so now we're going to talk about, well, are there times of the day that are Vata? Are there times of the day that are Pitta? Are there times of the day that are Kapha? And what you should be doing, and what way is the body going to be acting at those different times of the day? Because we know any of you that get up early, which everybody should be doing, so we should all be out of bed before 6:30 in the morning. If you get up at 6:30 in the morning and you go out for a walk, there is a completely different atmosphere in the air than there is at noon and than there is in the evening time. Absolutely, completely different liveliness in the air, So that the day is different throughout, and our body is different throughout. So that's what we're going to talk about today: the rhythms of nature and the rhythms of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So I'm going to go ahead.
Just I see the note from Nahid. Nahid is actually here.
Oh, is she? Oh, we should say hello to Nahid, yeah.
Yeah. Just till she gets up in the middle of the night and you won't let her in.
Yeah. I was looking out for her there, but I didn't see her. Hi, Dr. Nahid.
Hi, and thank you, Dr. Brennan, for noticing.
Lovely to see you, Dr. Nahid.
Thank you.
I didn't spot you there. I
was listening to you all for last around 13 minutes, and I was really enjoying it.
Oh, very good. Very good.
We didn't have your contribution. That's frustration.
That's okay. I was enjoying your talk.
Okay, great. All right, so let's get going we'll share the screen here and we'll get going with this next lesson. So you can just tell me if we're coming up. I think that's you.
Oh, yes. My God, he looks very serious there.
He does. He's about to talk by the looks of things. God, this has gone very slow.
Oh, God.
At the qualities of Vata, the qualities of Pitta, and the qualities of Kapha. And we've spent one lecture on each of those, and you've seen the different disorders and the personality types and the body types associated with them. And hopefully now at this stage, you're beginning to get an idea of what your own nature is, and also maybe looking around at the people around you, and you can start to spot what type of person they are or what their predominant dosha is. So today we're going to look at the rhythms of nature, because nature has cycles and nature has times to do things. As the song says, there's a season for everything. So nature, we're going to look firstly at the daily rhythm, and then we'll look very quickly at the seasonal rhythm and the life rhythm. So what I want to do with you just briefly is share my screen with you, and I want to show you this chart here, okay? Because in actual fact, different times of the day, different qualities are predominant. And you can see from this chart here that at 6 a.m. in the morning, so we say we start our day at 6 a.m. in the morning, from 6 to 10 in the morning is actually a Kapha time of the day. And that's when Kapha is more, that little heaviness is a little bit more lively in the atmosphere. Then from 10 to 2 is a Pitta time of the day, when the fire element is a bit more lively. And, that's why we eat our main meal in the middle of the day, because our digestion is strong at that time of the day. From 2 to 6 p.m. is a Vata time of the day. And sometimes people will say they get this tiredness in the afternoon, which would be a very Vata thing. And Dr. Brennan is going to be talking about that. And then we go back to a Kapha time of the day, back to a Pitta time of the day, and back to a Vata time of the day. But each of them have their own qualities. The Pitta at nighttime, different things are happening than the Pitta in morning time. So what we're going to do is discuss these times of the day very in depth. and take a look at the things that we should be doing and the way that we should be behaving for the various different times of the day. So what's going to happen is that Dr. Rajvinder is going to take the Kapha time of the day. So she'll initially speak from 6 to 10. And then Dr. Naheed will discuss the Pitta time, and then Dr. Brennan will discuss the Vata time in the afternoon. And then we'll go back to Dr. Rajvinder for the Kapha time for the evening time from 6 to 10, back to Dr. Naheed, and then back to Dr. Brennan again to discuss what's happening between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Because obviously what's happening in your body between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. is very different than what's happening in your body between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., but they're both Vata times. So we're going to find out what the difference is between those times. So these are the rhythm of nature, or the daily cycles, and they're very, very important in Ayurveda, because having your body in tune with these cycles of nature is essential for good health. So I'll stop the share. So we'll turn over to Dr. Rajvinder for the Kapha time of the day, which is from 6 a.m. So let's say you're wakening at 6. Maybe many of you are not wakening at 6. Maybe you're not wakening until 10. But anyway, as we go on with this Ayurveda course, we'll get you all wakening up at 6. So let's say your day starts at 6 o'clock. So Dr. Rajvinder, this Kapha time of the day from 6 to 10, a very beautiful time of the day. So maybe you can bring us through the routine for that time of the day.
Okay, thank you all. So in Ayurveda, there is a big emphasis on your daily routine, because Ayurveda is a kind of system that deal with diet and lifestyle and herbs. So lifestyle is a big role to play to the balance of your elements in the body. So 6 to 10, as Noel said, is the Kapha time of the day. So Ayurveda say you need to get up around 6 a.m. So it is good to wake up with the birds, because the environment is light. Dr. Brennan is going to talk about the 6 a.m. to 6 a.m., which is the Vata. So waking at the 6 a.m., you're still waking with the Vata qualities, which will be dry, light. So you wake up quite energetic. Lots of people think it's okay to wake up tired and feeling groggy. No, actually, if you have a proper bedtime and you wake up early, you should feel light, you should feel fully rested, and your mind should feel quite energetic, and you're ready to jump out of the bed rather than snoozing your clock. So there is a very nice routine, a lot of rituals to do around that time to energize your body, because as all of you know, Kapha is a heavy element, so it's easy to feel a bit heavy around that time of the day. So how are you going to energize? So first thing, you get out of the bed and you go to the bathroom and you start doing your oral hygiene, where you brush your teeth and you do oil pulling, and you're going to tongue scraping, and you're going to put a few drops of oil into your nostrils. Actually, Noel is going to show the tongue scraper, because most people ask me what are tongue scrapers and all. And the Nastya technique I'm talking about, he's going to demonstrate on that. So don't worry if you're not familiar with it. So once that is done, brushing your teeth, oil pulling, and oil pulling is swishing a tablespoon of sesame oil around your mouth like a mouthwash, really. And just spit on a paper and rinse your mouth with warm water again. And then after doing this thing, if you are ready to evacuate your bowel, do that. Or you go to your kitchen and drink a glass of warm water with lemon and ginger. And that will help to clean the bowel if you haven't done that already. And now the next ritual is a lovely ritual to energize your body, to improve the lymphatic system and circulation, is the self-massage. We call it Abhyanga. So Abhyanga is doing massage with the warm sesame oil, Vata massage oil, coconut oil, whatever oil your Ayurvedic physician has recommended you use that oil. You need to warm it up. So most people ask that question, how should I warm the oil? So it's very easy. You take a little dispenser bottle and you put the bottle, roughly I say 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil is enough to massage on the body. And so you let the bottle sit in a cup of hot water when you're doing your oral hygiene rituals. And now you pour this oil on your palms, rub it together, and it's long strokes over your muscles and circles over your joint. And you don't have to put the oil into your hair if you're not washing your hair. Just do a dry massage, just run your finger into your hair to bring more blood to the brain. And you can do a little gentle, small amount of oil, your face massage, because there are lots of marma point, energetic point to do a face massage. And then on your shoulders, on your armpits for the lymphatic system, clockwise movement around your belly button, on your stomach area to stimulate the bowel, and from your legs towards your heart, and then you finish on your back wherever you can reach. Don't worry too much, and you don't have to spend too long on that. And once you have done, you're already warm up. At this stage, some people like to go for a shower if they are practicing certain meditations, for example, TM, because TM is about sattvic mind and purity. So you got rid of a lot of toxins by doing massage and leave the oil for 20 minutes maximum if you can, and you shower and you come back and now you do your yoga asanas, because yoga prepare your mind to come to the center. And after doing the asanas, you're doing breathing exercises. Breathing exercises prepare and activate and stimulate and make your mind quite alert to get into the meditation. And now you perform your meditation, whichever you are doing, TM or any other mode of meditation you're doing. So you do your massage, you do your shower, or if you're not doing your shower, you do your yoga asana, you do your pranayama, breathing exercise, and do your meditation. And now you can go for a shower and ready for your breakfast. And then if you have time, you go for a little walk afterwards. So that's the morning routine. And that kapha, especially the kapha people, they complain it's very difficult to get out of the bed and it's hard to do all this routine. It's just a matter of getting into it. You might force yourself to get out of the bed. And once you do it for a week, or they say take 21 days to train your mind, train your body. So you do it religiously, you get used to it, and it becomes effortless. And the whole procedure you can easily do in 15, 20 minutes. If you have more time, spend more time. There's no limit on that. So you can spend 2 hours as well. So I hand over to you, Noel. You can show the procedure if you want. So that's the kapha routine from 6 to 10.
Okay, Dr. Rajvinder, and it's a really, really important time of the day. And I think anybody that does wake up at 6 o'clock feeling refreshed realizes that it's a very beautiful time of the day as well. There's a completely different energy. It's a brand new beginning. And like if you go out for a walk or something like that, the atmosphere is different, you know. Now, the thing about kapha is that it's heavy. And as Dr. Rajvinder says, at 6 o'clock, you're just coming out of a Vata time and going into the kapha time. So that heaviness is not there. But the longer you lie on in bed, the more that heaviness comes in. And that's why people who, lie on in bed till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, they get up and they can have a headache, or they can feel very drowsy, or a lack of energy, because that kapha has built up too much. In a particular dosha, we do the opposite. So it's not good to be sitting around doing nothing or lying asleep in the kapha time. It's better to be up and doing things. But as Dr. Rajvinder says, some people may find it very difficult to get up at 6 o'clock, and that's because they're not going to bed early enough and they're not getting a good 8 hours sleep. So Ayurveda is about gradually bringing it back into balance. So if you're going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, bring it back to 12:30, bring it back to 12. And then when you get your body just needs those 8 hours sleep. If you're asleep at 10 o'clock, it's very, very easy to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, there's always loads of questions. Do I brush my teeth first? Do I scrape my tongue? Which way do I do? So we don't get hung up about it. Like what I do in the morning is I get up and I use a tongue scraper. And this is a tongue scraper. And in the Ayurveda Center, they're not expensive. You'll get them in a lot of Asian shops. The stainless steel tongue scraper is €6, and this is a silver-plated one. So for the wealthy people out there who want silver-plated tongue scrapers for their tongues, this is €15. Better for Pitta, really, in some ways. But you can use a spoon. It doesn't make any difference. You can just use a spoon. But there's a coating on your tongue in the morning. It's called ama. It's detoxification that's gone on during the night. So we need to get rid of that. Now, as you go on with Ayurvedic principles, you'll find that coating becomes less and less and less, because if your digestion is strong, if you're eating properly, you're not going to be producing too many toxins. But we just scrape that off the tongue, and then just run it under a tap and clean it and dry it and put it back on the shelf, So what I tend to do is scrape the tongue first, then I brush my teeth, and then I do the oil pulling, which is with sesame oil. Just put the warm sesame oil in your mouth and just swish it around for a few minutes. You can keep it in there for a while if you want. Sometimes I keep it in there while I'm doing the Abhyanga, which is the oil massage that Dr. Rajvinder talked about. Now, if you're a very Vata person, you don't want to be going into a very cold bathroom first thing in the morning and giving yourself an oil massage. So if you're Vata, put the heater on, put some sort of a fan heater on in your bathroom that's built in, and have the room nice and warm and have the oil nice and warm. And then just leave the oil on leave it on for at least 5 to 10 minutes, I would tend to do my asanas while the oil is on. If you do asanas in the morning time, it's just a good way of doing something with the oil on you. And then I have a shower after that. So I leave the oil on for 10 minutes or so. Then I have a shower after that. Then I do my meditation. And I always like to go for a walk in the morning morning time as well. So that's a good thing to do. Now, that's your tongue scraper. So you can buy them in Asian stores. You'll buy them online. You can buy them on our website, or you can simply use a spoon. But obviously clean it well before you put it back into the press, or your family members won't be too happy with you. So Nasia is the other thing. So this is, you can use sesame oil for Nasia, or you can use MP16, which is oil that has a lot of herbs in it as well. If you're just using ordinary sesame oil, it's very simple. It's just a matter of putting some oil into your nose. So just put a few drops on your finger and just put it in your nose. With this one here, it has a dispenser, okay? So I'm going to do it now. It's because I do this I definitely do it every morning. It's great for getting rid of any heaviness, okay? But you just squirt it up one nostril, then you block that and you squirt it up the other nostril, and then you hold the nose so the oil is in there, and then you just breathe back. Just breathe back. Oh, and you can feel that going right to your head. It's actually quite sharp, you know. Now there might be a little bit of oil comes down, so you just wipe it with a tissue. That's it. Just wipe it with a tissue, and straight away you can feel the difference. And Nasia is very good for everything above the neck in Ayurveda. It's recommended. So for migraines, for sinuses, I had a guy ring me from England a while back. He had a weeping eye, and he started using MP16 on, I think it was Dr. Brennan's recommendation. And he said after a week or two, it just went away. He couldn't believe how well it cleared up. So Nasia is a really good thing to do. It's highly recommended by the Indian government, Department of Ayush, traditional medicine, as a prevention against COVID. And not just COVID, any infection, because most viral infections go in through your nose. And the oils that are in this are very antiviral. So they keep this area very, very clean. And it also helps with your breathing as well. And the nose is the gateway to the brain. So Nasia is a really, really good thing to do. So that's the kapha time of the day. They're the main points that we go in the kapha time of the day. So most of these things happen in the first hour or so, really. But as Dr. Rajvinder says, it is very important that we try get out of the bed early. But so as not to make that a big, punishment to yourself, you need to get into the bed early. So early to bed, early to rise is an old saying. It's Ayurvedic wisdom at its best. So early to bed, early to rise. So by 10 o'clock then, we move from kapha time to the pitta time of the day. And pitta, as you now know, is the fire element. Water and fire together. So it's heat and transformation and all of those things. So Dr. Naheed, what goes on in the pitta time of the day between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock? What should people be doing at those times?
So 10 to 2 p.m. Of the day time is the Pitta time of the day, and usually at this time of the day we are more productive, we are more determined, we are ambitious, we are ready to do all the hard work, and of course we are hungry as well, because all these are the characteristics of Pitta. So as Pitta is responsible for our digestion, for our transformation, and also the heat production, which is required to digest our food. And we all know that Ayurveda strongly considers that good digestive power is the key for a good health. So, our main meal should be in this Pitta time of the day. So it's believed that from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., the Pitta remains in its peak. So if we take our main meal of the day at this time, what happens is that it will help us to digest our food properly, and also to transform that food which we are having, to transform into an optimum quantity of ojas. But what happens is that, I see in few of my patients, that when they are strongly Pitta, what they do is they keep procrastinating their meal time, because they are very determined, and they are like a perfectionist kind of person. So they feel like, oh no, I had to do my work first, then I'll do my lunch. But do not delay this, because at the end of the day you need good amount of ojas to keep yourself going. So have your food in between 12 to 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. when we say, then don't start your meal at 2 p.m. Have it before the 2 p.m. Clocks in. And as you know, that Pitta helps in the production of heat. So it's not recommended to have cold water or any cold drink with your main meal of the day. You can have warm water, but do not have any water at least half an hour before and 1 hour after your meal. And there is a recommendation of lassi. Lassi is a diluted yogurt. You can make it with some of the spices and all. That helps in the digestion as well. And then when you finish your food, do not just get up and go and do your dishes. Just sit in your table for 2 to 3 minutes. Let your body absorb, let your senses absorb that you had your meal. Let it start at walk. And then you can go for a walk. So it's recommended to go for a walk for around like 100 steps. So that helps to digest your food properly. So, and for Vata people, it's also recommended that after they have a meal and they go on a walk, they can have, a little bit of rest, which Dr. Brennan going to elaborate in detail, because after that the Vata time starts. So Noel, I am going to hand over to you.
Okay, Dr. Naheed, that's perfect. So that Pitta time of the day, very dynamic time of the day. You can get a lot of work done during that time. But very important that we have our main meal at some stage there. So generally around in Ireland, I think maybe between 12:30, 1 o'clock is when most people will be eating. And it's interesting you say about drinking warm water, because you go into any restaurant in Ireland or any pub in Ireland for a lunchtime, and the first thing they'll do without even asking is bring you a pint glass of ice water, not just cold water, but ice water. But this is not a good thing. If you think about digestion, it involves heat, it involves transformation. So you have this fire inside you. You should be good and hungry at this stage. If you've had a light breakfast, if you're not hungry at midday, then you're eating too much in the morning time. So cut back what you're eating and just make sure that hunger is there for your midday meal. But that hunger is a fire. And if you put cold water on top of that fire, you just put that fire out. So we don't have cold water. Very important. We skip the temptation of having that cold water. And as Dr. Naheed said, we can sip a little bit of hot water, or we can have that drink called lassi. We probably have to make that ourselves. It's a mixture of yogurt and water. We show you how to do that. But for most cases, it's a case of having some hot water. It's not a big deal to ask for hot water in restaurants anymore. I remember asking for it 15 years ago, and people would look at you and they'd say, do you want that in a cup or a glass or whatever, and they'd be wondering, did you want a tea bag with it or whatever? But that doesn't happen anymore, because a lot of people are taking hot water with their meals. And we just sip the hot water. We just sip the hot water when we eat our meal. And very important point there, Dr. Naheed, about sitting easy after our meal. Don't get into, especially if you're a Pitta type, don't get into any big, deep, heavy conversations about anything, about politics or anything like that. Try not eat your meal with the TV on or listening to the news. Don't be having arguments with people. You can have good company or no company would be the way I would say it. It's fine to eat on your own and put your attention on the food, or else good company with friends and family where the conversation is kept light, but not too much intensity while we're eating, especially for Pitta people, because they get caught up very much in that. And then, as Dr. Naheed said, a little walk afterwards. So they're the main things that we do for midday. And now we're moving into the Vata time of the day. And we know Vata is air and space. And Dr. Brennan is going to talk about this. So this goes from 2 p.m. Until 6 p.m. So Dr. Brennan, can you go ahead and tell us what we should be doing during the Vata time of the day?
Well, as we all know, Vata is most fundamental and most profound, and it moves everything in mind and body, including moving Pitta and moving Kapha. And so it's essential we keep Vata balanced, and keeping it balanced keeps us at our best. And so everything you've heard so far is simply put to maintain this fundamental integrity of Vata. As you remember from what Dr. Naheed was telling us, we wake up when Vata is quite lively at the end of Vata time of the night. And you'll notice that all the strategies at the beginning of the day were to initially settle the Vata. So we settled it through the oil mouth rinse, through the oil massage, through the yoga, through the pranayama, through the meditation. And now we're transitioning, because this is Kapha time of the day and we start to do the exercise. And the breakfast also is going to be another way of settling the Vata. So we go into the Vata, the day, with Vata settled. And that's important, because many people hop out of bed, grab their clothes, grab a bite, and they're out the door and they're busy all morning, grabbing a bite at lunch, and they come into my time of the day, the time I have to talk about, between 2 and 6, very imbalanced. And that's unfortunate, because then kicks in a low functioning, a cloudiness and a fatigue hitting them mid-afternoon. Whereas starting the day so well, and then coming into the Pitta time, they actually have the big meal in the middle of the day, as Dr. Naheed was telling us, because in so doing, two things happen. The food is earth element, and a good meal grounds us. So it really settles Vata after all the activity of the morning. And that relaxed style of eating that they were describing, it leaves our sympathetic nervous system switched off for the process or duration of the meal, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the one that relaxes and eases us, soothes us, settles us. So after that good start to the day and that good midday meal, we should come into Vata time with Vata balanced. And if Vata is balanced in Vata time, actually, this is the best time of the year for mental work, the best time of the day for mental activity, for mental work, for calculating. But if it's not balanced, it's not a good time for anything, really. And so that's important. We come into it balanced. Now, normally, the exercise for most people would be better taken away from this time of the day, not to be too physically active. If you're a Kapha person, you could exercise at this time, but a Vata person would be better exercising in Kapha time of the day or Pitta time of the day. So not to get overactive in Vata time. Now, if one is in a Vata time of life, because there is the Kapha time of life of youth, there's the middle years, 20 to 50 or 60, Pitta time, and then there's the Vata time of life, you will notice that the elders increasingly start to consider going back for a little short nap in the afternoon. And the reason for that is because their Vata is even stronger than ours. Well, I'm in the Vata time of life, so it's coming up. So it's important at this time for them, that little extra way of keeping the Vata balanced. But what we would recommend for everyone is a meditation. And Vata being the most sublime, the air and space elements, and because Vata moves the mind, if we settle into a settled state of mind, particularly with the TM, at the end of the Vata time, it totally tends to bring our mind and body back to balance. And that's why, traditionally, the timing of meditation would be about that end of Vata time, 5 o'clock or thereabouts, or coming to 6 o'clock. And so those are the strategies whereby we keep our balance in Vata throughout the day. And I could hand you back now to Noel and Dr. Rajvinder for the next phase.
And Don, one thing that I notice with a lot of people is that they do have a big energy slump in the afternoon, and a lot of people, people working at desks find it hard to keep awake and all this, it can be just directly after their meal or a little bit later. Is that a Vata thing, that big energy slump that people experience?
Thanks, Noel. That's a very good question, and I'm glad you brought it out, because you see, there's phases of digestion, and the first hour after a meal is a Kapha phase of digestion. Then we go into Pitta phase for 2 hours maybe. And then we start to get light and hungry again, this Vata time of digestion. So in relation to the meal, someone's just had a big lunch and they come in 2 to 3 with Kapha increasing. And that does, slow them and settle them down. And then from 2, 3 into 5, the Pitta from the digestive system is kicking in. Now, all of this is just perfect for balancing the Vata time of the day, this influence of that meal. However, if they have not had enough sleep the night before, that's one possibility that would cause them to feel tired mid-afternoon. So that's why, the essential of a good 7 to 8 hours sleep for everybody. And so that's one reason. The other reason is if people's digestion is a bit weak, then that influence means their digestion is sluggish, slow. They don't get the energy from the food. They get tired and a feeling of heaviness because they have not been taking care of their digestion, or they have overeaten. The overeating increases the Kapha in the Kapha phase, at which point they start to get tired. Now, the other point there is that People who have missed sleep at night, Ayurveda would say they can have a little catch-up nap in the afternoon. Otherwise, afternoon naps are not really recommended in Ayurveda, but in that situation, or in the situation of the elder, or a third situation where people's vatas are very out of balance, one of us Ayurvedic doctors would prescribe it. So in general, one other point, interesting to note, in hot countries, the excess heat starts to dry the body. So in hot countries, that drying influence of excess heat causes their vata to get increased. And then in their tradition, they have a siesta. And that's why they need a siesta. We don't need a siesta in Ireland, unfortunately, because we don't get the heat. But those are the circumstances where an afternoon nap would.
Okay. So I'm taking it that a young person really shouldn't, unless there's an imbalance there, they shouldn't be feeling that heavy sluggishness in the afternoon. Whereas with an elderly person, it's fine, maybe someone in their late 60s, early 70s, it's okay to have a little nap in the afternoon. But with other people, if that's happening to you and you can't function and you can't do your job or whatever, then there's an imbalance there. You need to catch up on your sleep, or you need to get your digestion into order. So before I go back to Dr. Rajvinder, let me just share the graphic again so that we can see what we've covered. So we've done 6 to 10 Kapha time, all our cleaning, and it's interesting that Dr. Brennan said that the things we do in the morning are in that Kapha time are actually to balance the Vata that has come up while we were asleep. So the hot oil and the unctuousness of the oil and everything, and then the Pitta time, the middle of the day when we have our main meal. And then the Vata time in the afternoon. So we're going back to Kapha time, a second Kapha time of the day, which is from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. But obviously we're not going to be doing oil massages and tongue scraping at that time of the day. So Dr. Rajvinder, for some reason you got muted. So are you unmuted, Doc? Yeah, you're unmuted, yeah. So, Dr. Rajvinder, this time of the day, this second Kapha phase of the day, what is this time of the day? What's best for people to be doing at this time of the day?
Okay, now, so Kapha needs stimulation. So in the morning time, we did the massage, we did the walks and light breakfast to get the body going, to get the stimulation. So now in the evening time, again, the sun is setting. So in the morning time, sun was rising, so it was still heavy kind of energy around us. And now again, the sun is setting. So as the sun is setting, our body's physiology is also kind of slowing down. So the cortisol, the serotonin levels are kind of going down, digestion is going down. So digestive system is actually weak in the Kapha time, so which means we should have light breakfast and light dinner anyway, and so we need to activate ourselves again for the Kapha time because it's still not night. So it's advised again for Kapha to do a little small kind of, if you have time, to bit of exercise, pranayama, and your evening meditation if you're doing TM, or kind of a short kind of meditation again, because you just came out of the Vata, as Dr. Brennan explained, and you're leaving your offices, you're finishing your work, if you're working online and all that. So it's very nice to relax your mind a bit and reflect on your day and do a shorter meditation before you start eating your dinner. And then you go for a small dinner. If you had a good lunch, which Dr. Benign was emphasizing for, and Dr. Nahid was saying for Pitta, as the sun is high in the sky, digestive power is very strong. So now you don't need a big meal. So if you skip your lunch, you're craving now for sugar or heavy fatty kind of meals. And also you're soon approaching to the bedtime, so Ayurveda doesn't recommend for a very heavy meal. So you better eat a bowl of soup or something like quinoa with vegetables, steamed vegetables, something light according to the Ayurveda principles if you're following that. And then you can go for a little walk as well. In the summer, the evenings are longer, so it's nice to go for a nice walk. In the winter time, you can do a short stroll under the moon. That will help your Pitta, and that'll also stimulate your Kapha a bit. And then you prepare yourself for the bed, and make sure for Kapha people, because they're cold and damp, as our environment in the Ireland is very cold and damp, so make sure your room is nice and cozy and you have enough blankets and you're sleeping nice and warm in the bed. And you start preparing yourself around 9:30 that you're going to sleep. So evening ritual, keep it simple, keep it easy, because Kapha time mind is not very active. So don't engage into any kind of sharp or too much of mental activities. And you can do like a simple thing to do a list for next day, or conversation with your family members. Try to have quality times, or do some nice relaxing activity. Before you go to bed, if you struggle from sleep or any of that, you can do little feet massage, you can do some kind of a guided meditation, you can do some breathing exercises, things like that, and prepare yourself for bed. 9:30 you're in bed, lights are kind of, make sure there's a dark and kind of dim light in the room, and you read a kind of an easy book that's not stimulating your mind, and sleep by 10. So that's kind of a routine.
Okay, so a lot in that actually. So light meal in the evening time is a big recommendation of Ayurveda, because you're going into bed. You don't want to be going to bed, with a big stomach full of food, and then it doesn't get digested properly, and you start creating ama in the system. So ideally, we have our main meal in the middle of the day in the Pitta time, and then a lighter meal in the evening time. And then that Kapha time is good to do a little bit of exercise, get out for a walk, or even in the winter time, go and walk. And once it's not raining, go and walking can be really, really nice. If it's cold, just wrap up very well and go out for a brisk walk around 8 o'clock, maybe for half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever. Or if you go to the gym, it's okay. We can do that as well. It's a good time to do some exercise. Not too much if you're a Vata person, but a good time to do a little bit of exercise. But then by 9:30, we're making plans for going to bed. We're winding down at that stage, because then we're moving into what we call the second Pitta phase of the day, which is a really, really important phase. So Dr. Naheed, you can bring us in through, we start the second Pitta time of the day from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the morning. So I have a fair idea what we should be doing at that time, but what is our body going to be doing for us at that time?
Yeah.
So 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. at night also a Pitta time, but it doesn't mean that we have to take our another meal or something, because Pitta is not only responsible for digestion, but that also helps in transformation. So when I say transformation, so what does it do? It helps us to digest all the undigested food materials which our system for any reason not able to digest that, so that we don't produce a lot of toxins, a lot of ama in the body. And it also helps us to clear all the emotional amas, all the toxins which are there in our mind, because Pitta is one of the important factor for our intellect, for our memory as well. And if you prepare yourself from 9:30, as Dr. Rajvinder says, that if you prepare yourself by 9:30 and you go in bed and you're ready to sleep, you do some kind of meditation and anything which can make you feel calm, composed, and make you feel sleep faster. Then on the first 4 hours, you sleep like you have a deep sleep. And it says that in the deep sleep, our body is more tend to, transform and to regenerate and to remove all the toxins. So go on a bed, try to sleep before 10 o'clock and have a good night's sleep as well. And like few of the patient, and we see a lot of questions that few people just get up at night with sweating, especially during the summertime. And on the post-menopausal phase, there are women who are having hot flushes kind of thing. It's because that's the Pitta time of the day, and hot flushes and all this burning sensation and sweating is because of Pitta. So you need to prepare yourself in that way. You can have something which is cooling along with your dinner, which should be lighter and a little bit of cooling thing. And you can have a comfortable, a little bit of, ventilation kind of thing, so that you can sleep better and so that your body can regenerate and heal itself. I'll hand over to you, Noel, so that...
Okay, thanks, Dr. Naheed. Actually, it's an interesting thing about Pitta, because the second phase of Pitta is definitely, it's better to be asleep during it, because this deep transformation goes on. I know there's a 2-hour window in the day when the body can get the maximum benefit from being asleep, the maximum. And I'm not saying there isn't benefit from being asleep at other times, but I was always told that 2-hour window was from 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock. You know, this is to do with the rhythms that we've built up with over decades or over millennia, you know. But obviously, if you're not asleep by, you know, if you're not in bed and asleep by 11 o'clock, you're missing that particular train, you know. But it's very interesting with Pitta, because I noticed that a lot of people with Pitta, people will naturally begin to feel a little tired around 10 o'clock. They'll naturally have that inclination, oh, maybe it's time to go to bed. But then what happens is they get distracted and something comes on the TV and they look at that and they say, oh, that might be interesting. I'll just have a little look at that. And then half an hour later, they're completely wide awake again. It's like this second wind. But the Pitta in that case is being used for the wrong purpose. It's been used then to keep them awake and keep them active. Whereas if they went to bed and went to sleep, it would be used for those deep cleaning purposes. So it's definitely a big recommendation of Ayurveda that we try get to bed for 10 o'clock at night, so that deep healing can go on within the system and that cleaning out of toxins that are in there. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, we move into the Vata stage from 2 to 6 o'clock in the morning. So we'll go back to Dr. Brennan. So Dr. Brennan, what's happening during this phase of the morning from 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the morning?
Another wonderful opportunity to rejuvenate ourselves and all. It's a very lively time. The nervous system can be in some ways even busier at this time of the morning than when we're awake through the day. It's the time when most of our dreaming happens. And when we dream, there's an automatic switch off of our muscle system, so that we cannot move, fortunately, or jumping over the cliff might end up jumping out the window. So naturally with dreams, there's a sort of a semi-paralysis, but the dreams are actually an incredible function that achieves so much for us. We've seen from Dr. Naheed how the healing is happening during the Pitta time, the body being transformed. And in that process, you know, there are a lot of connections in the brain that have become redundant and they're broken down. And so the material that is then available is used by the brain to restructure a whole new network of connections and a fantastic extension of the web of connectedness of the nerve cells at this time. So the dreaming is a time where we take all the information that has been registered during the day. It's into our hippocampus, and during the Pitta phase, it's being transformed into long-term memory. But then the dreaming comes along, and not just that we remember this information, the dreaming helps us to totally reintegrate this whole new experience of the previous day with our whole life's experience. And out of this comes wisdom. Out of this comes solution to problems. So it's a very significant time of the day, which people should never curtail. They should get their 4 hours of Vata sleep. So this is activity. This is Vata, movement. But this is the movement that's happening at this phase. And if we have lived a good routine of the day, then our Vata will be settled and we will sleep during this time, and the activity of this time will be spent in dreaming and fulfilling the functions of dreaming. Another function of which is to take the sting out of our negative experiences of the day. It's because of our dreams that when we have a bad experience, that, you know, we feel really emotionally traumatized by it. The next day, we're still emotional thinking about it. The next day, it's less. The next day, maybe the emotion is gone. We had the memory, but not the emotion. It's our dreaming that's helped us resolve that emotional thing. So all of this work going on at between 2 and 6 is the healthy functioning of Vata. However, again, we come back to times of life, because again, being in the Vata time of life, people's sleep can be broken at this time. Normally, people have a circle of sleep and they're back up near the surface after 90 minutes, and then they circle deep and then back up 90 minutes. But when they're in an older age category, they can just wake up at this point, and it's not a problem, because it can be natural to have that slightly broken sleep later in life. So long as people can remain relaxed and stay with it, then they get back into the next cycle and there's no sleep problem. However, if people's Vatas are very out of balance, that's when they wake at 2 or 3 and 4 and can't get back to sleep. Then that's a Vata issue that has to be balanced, especially by that routine, which starts the day settling Vata, middle of the day lunch settles Vata, meditation and relaxed evening meal settles Vata. Not too much stress, not too much chaos during the day. To keep things balanced Vata-wise, then we can tend to have a really good quality sleep. The other function of sleep, of course, is to make us more sociable again, because we were getting a bit narky after the days, and we were getting tired. And then 8 hours it takes for our emotional body to recalibrate, so that the next day we're totally a sociable, loving, kind being again. So the significance of actually having those 4 hours of Pitta time to heal, 4 hours of Vata time to reintegrate and to re-establish our connectedness at the finest level, from all the physical through all the mental processing to the finest essence of our being, so we wake up the next day rejuvenated from the deepest level and ready to start into the next day at our best.
Okay, Dr. Brennan. So that's actually fantastic information there about the quality of sleep. So really, you know, our ability to deal with all sorts of things, emotional things and trauma, and how we handle that is very, very dependent on people getting a really good night's sleep. So maybe if you find in life that you're an angry person, or that you're holding on to things very deeply, you can't let go of arguments, or it keeps going around in your head, and you know you're traumatized by small little events that upset you for a long time, could be very much to do with the fact that you're not getting a good night's sleep and you're not dreaming properly. And for people who are interested in the topic, I know, Dr. Brennan, we have you did a webinar one time on sleep, and it's available on our YouTube channel, so people can go and look at that. So very powerful things happen when we're asleep. We might feel our consciousness is shut down, our awareness is shut down, but definitely the intellect of the body is not shut down. The intellect of your system is as busy when you're asleep as it is during the day when you're doing things. It's just doing different things. It's cleaning out the system. As Dr. Brennan says, it's putting short-term memories into long-term memories. It's getting rid of the things we don't need anymore. And it's bringing us back to a state of balance. It's a kind of a recreation that happens, a recreation of the system that leaves us set and ready to go with the next day. So that's fantastic, everybody. So thanks very much for bringing us through the daily routine there. Dr. Brennan already mentioned that there were cycles of life that are Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So the early part of your life tends to be a Kapha phase of your life when there's growth going on. And then the middle part of your life tends to be a Pitta part of your life, where you have the dynamism to do all the things and you're raising your family and doing your career and all that. And then the Vata time of life tends to be the latter part of your life from 60 onward. But the real time to balance that Vata, and we know from our course that Vata is the king of the doshas, it's the one that goes out of balance the most. And if you take a look at the diseases that affect a lot of elderly people, they're all Vata conditions, things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, to do with movement and arthritis and all these things. So the real time to be getting that Vata in balance is not waiting until you're 60, but keeping it in balance as you go through life. Obviously, the seasons are also Vata, Pitta and Kapha. And we have, I think at one stage, Dr. Brennan, you told me that Maharishi had some research done in Ireland to see when the actual Vata, Pitta and Kapha seasons were. Maybe you can just tell us about that for a minute.
Absolutely, yes. Maharishi had a panel of Ayurvedic doctors that analysed all the statistics from everywhere in the world, and we in Ireland had to actually send in all the data about temperature, moisture content, wind factors, all of this, so that the Vajas could interpret the ancient wisdoms about the season and specify for what parts of the world were the Vata season, the Pitta season, the Kapha season. And that's how we come to having this Kapha season from December through till May, Pitta season from May through till maybe beginning of September, and then the Vata season September through to December again.
Okay. So they're the seasons, and it's very easy to see. We know the summertime is Pitta time. I mean, we want to do things that balance Pitta in the summertime. We want to go swimming and all these things. You don't really want to go swimming in the middle of January. I know people do, but most people are more attracted to it in the summertime. There's more heat in the atmosphere. You know, if we're going to eat salads and things like that, we want to do it in a Pitta season rather than in a Vata season. So they're the 3 seasons. So all these rhythms of nature are there, and nature is doing different things at different times, and then we just need to learn to live in balance with that. Now, for many people, this might seem, you know, people who maybe have developed habits over the years that, you know, oh, the idea of lying on in bed till 10 o'clock is just bliss, and then, you know, going out and not going to bed until 1 o'clock in the morning is absolutely fantastic, and people have developed these habits over a long time, and you can't change those habits immediately, and you shouldn't try to change those habits immediately, but you should try to change them over time and then see how you feel, because the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And see how your health is, and see how your humors are, and see how you feel as you begin to bring these rhythms, you know, these cycles more and more into nature. And that's what Ayurveda is all about. It's all about living in tune with nature and staying balanced. And as we know, disease is dis-ease. The system is no longer at ease with itself. So many problems would be solved by people living this particular routine. And I'm sure our ancestors did, to a large extent, live this way, because, you know, we have the advantage of electricity, and, you know, with every great invention comes, you know, a price to be paid as well. So we have this huge freedom, but we can misuse it as well. And electricity allows us to, you know, have light on in our rooms and stay up watching TV till 2 o'clock in the morning if we want. But unfortunately, there's a price to be paid for that as well, you know. Okay, so that's what we've covered today, the cycles of nature, the rhythm of nature. A big thank you to the doctors there for going through all of that. We're going to start our Q&A now with our doctors. Again, I'd like to say that we will favor questions that are related to the topic that we've been speaking about today. So if you have specific questions about the things that we've talked about, and, you know, the rhythms of nature that are there and the different daily routines, if there's any questions that have sprung to your mind that you want to ask us, then go ahead and put them into the chat box. But as usual, we'll endeavor to answer any questions that come our way. Okay, doctor, so you can start taking a look at the chats that are coming in, and we'll continue with that.
Great, Noel, thanks. I'll just try and get through as many of these as I can. Abhyanga in the evening, if no time in the morning, good idea. Always good to do it. Best to do it in the morning if you can, but it's great to do it in the evening as well. What sesame oil? Is it cooking sesame oil? No, it's cold pressed or unrefined sesame oil. It's very pure and clean looking. It's not sooty in color. So if no matter what dosha you are, these are the routines to follow. That was a question. Yes, these are the routines for everybody, basically. And any recommendation for low blood pressure? 2 things. I think I would use Raj's cup, a drink, the coffee substitute, and I would consider taking MA 325, MA 3325. Invigorating paste.
Okay, 3325, yeah.
Yeah, and read about castor oil pack for the liver, Mary said, but she's going to attend me for a face-to-face meeting, and we'll sort it out then. Tooth abscess is a long-term issue, so there's not much pain. So all the advice we've given about oral hygiene, using sesame oil in the mouth, holding it, then the MP16 clears toxins from that whole area. That was the nasal oil Noel talked about, MA735 or MP16. That was another question. So using that regularly clears toxins from the area. And then some of the products that Noel talked about earlier on. Balance all doshas. Should you start with balancing Vata? If all doshas are out of balance, that's a good strategy. The question from Colette about the 6th of April course on the website is a repeat of this course. Yes. Can blissful joy be taken with MA303? Yes, it can. Now I'll stop and let somebody else answer questions.
Well done. I actually answered a lot of them in the chats anyway, but yeah, listen, the course on the 6th of April, I put it up there today. So it is a repeat of this course, but everybody should do it. Because as I said, the knowledge goes in by repetition. There'll be new questions and everything like that. So sign up for it. Certainly tell your friends about it if you've enjoyed the course. There's huge amount of knowledge here for people to help people. So let your friends know about it. It's on our Facebook page, and the link is on the email I sent to you today. I'll send it tomorrow as well. So let people know about the course. That's the best way we can spread this knowledge out more and more and more, you know. Yeah, okay, so any cure for varicose veins? There's one for one of the doctors. Dr. Naheed, varicose veins.
Hello?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So there's a question about for making lassi, use cooked or warm water. So it's not recommended to use yogurt in a warm or a hot condition. So better to use normal room temperature water to make your lassi. Can lupus be treated by Ayurvedic medicine? Lupus erythematosus is an autoimmune condition, and that can definitely be treated with Ayurvedic medicines. You need to focus on balancing your Pitta and focus on your digestion so that you don't make a lot of ama, and rest of the thing, you know, that will be very tailor made, so you can consult with any of the Ayurvedic physician to guide you properly. Yeah, Dr. Rajvinder.
Restless leg, doctor. Oh, the varicose veins one, we never answered that. Rajvinder, varicose veins?
Varicose vein is difficult one because people in the catering work or nursing, standing long hours, yeah, it's just the pressure. So what you can do, you can release if it's too much inflammation there. The coconut oil is considered because it's cooling, and there is a special oil in India that they use is from banyan tree, because varicose veins looks like those little roots hanging from the banyan tree, but it's probably difficult for us to source here. But the simple is the coconut oil, or put a little bit of camphor, drop of the camphor essential oil into it for the ease of the inflammation and the soothing action on the varicose vein. And at the end of the day, do some feet bath massage before you go to bed. And if you have to stand longer hours, try to kind of walk and avoid the pressure on the veins. Or some of the herbs that you can boost up the circulation, like gotu kola, brahmi. It's good to consider to strengthen your veins, strengthen your kind of blood circulatory system. So you can do those little things around it. And if you have weight or anything like that, kapha, try to lose weight a bit so that less pressure. So I can recommend that. And then I'll take one more from Sonia. She was saying, it sounds like the Vata is the king of doshas and there's no pure kapha, no pure pitta. Vata is very dominant. Like if you have strong air, wind blowing outside, it can easily take fire with it. It can easily take water with it. So like in the universe, air is a very dominant element. So same in the body, air is the dominant element, but we do see pure Pitta people and pure Kapha people if it's in balance. It's just unfortunately we are working so hard, running around, skipping meals, going to bed late, so Vata easily go out of balance. So probably in old time, if you have your ancestors or like my grandparents or somebody like that, they live their life in routine and eat on time, slept on time. So yeah, then you see the pure qualities of other doshas.
Yeah, now let's be careful about that, the pure qualities of it, but there's no such thing as a pure Pitta. Like nobody is just Pitta. Yeah, everybody has all three. Nobody is just pure Vata either. It's always all three, but when we say pure,
no, but she's trying to say everybody seems to be Vata. You don't see much Kapha. You don't see in the nature even. So that's what I'm trying to explain. The Vata easily go out of balance. So then Vata dominant on the Pitta and Kapha.
Yeah, it's right. A world where there's such movement going on all the time that Vata tends to be. But you know, you can see Kapha imbalances. You can certainly see Pitta imbalances. There's a lot of angry people out there as well, I'll tell you. So it's
you do see very kind, compassionate Kapha people, but they might be like taken for granted by others in the family, or they're trying to please others, then of course their Vata go out of balance as well if they're not minding themselves. So then that's why you don't see the real nature of the Kapha or Pitta. And before I stop, just one more, and then I give the chance to Dr. Brandon or Dr. Naheed. Somebody's asking to show the position for the pulse, the fingers. So the index finger is a Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So you kind of cross it over. There's a little kind of hair, little bone, you can say, that's kind of a marker. Behind it, you put your free finger. So you cross over. You never do like that. So you cross it over, and then you try to take. So whatever sensation you feel your under index finger is Vata, and then Pitta and Kapha. So normally it's like a snake or a frog or a swan. That's what you're trying. But maybe Dr. Brennan can explain in
Yeah,
depth.
actually, that's a huge section of knowledge. It's a huge section of knowledge, and Dr. Brennan has run courses on that, you know. So there's actually whole courses you can do on pulse diagnosis, and it's a big part of the course that's starting off in the Alma Mater University in Slovenia. For any of you that are doing that 1 year postgraduate degree course, a lot of it is pulse diagnosis. Like if you get a really good Viager that is very, you know, trained in the pulse and has used the pulse for decades, they can pick up a huge amount of information on the person from the pulse, from Vata, Pitta, Kapha, you know. Now, not all Vajas do it, you know, there's different traditions of it, you know, so they don't all do it. And it's not necessary that they do it either, but it is just the technique that they can use for picking up very subtle imbalances. But I think Dr. Brennan is really the expert in this area. So, I mean, we're not that we're going to be training people in pulse diagnosis, but maybe you want to say something about it, Don.
I think if you get the opportunity to learn the pulse diagnosis, it's a wonderful strategy, because even taking your pulse brings a balance, but it also, when you understand what you're feeling, gives you a great deal more insight. And it's possible to pick up early stages of imbalance, and it's possible to monitor your improving health when you know about taking your pulse. So yeah, if course comes up, I would recommend it. So 3 questions about Kapha. My hay fever has started. Any advice? I would start using lemon and honey in warm water as a drink, just to clear toxins and to balance Kapha. And it's coming up now because it's the end of the Kapha season, the hay fever. I would balance Kapha generally, and I would put a little oil into the nostrils frequently through the day, because it tends to cover the mucous membranes, and that prevents the allergen getting at it to some extent. There's an MA251 herbal. I would take a tablet of that 3 times a day with honey. And that's what I would do, Vatsala, for the Kapha, for the hay fever. And Betty, if she gets cold at all, she gets a cold, and that's a Kapha imbalance, Betty. So review the Kapha lecture, all the things for balancing Kapha, I would suggest. And then Badra asks, is black pepper, a teaspoonful, honey, a teaspoonful, and some ginger juice for 5 days helpful for corona? It's a nice thought, because corona is a Kapha problem. Generally, it affects the chest, which is a Kapha part of the body. It's hitting badly those people who are very Kapha in nature. But we've done a video on corona, haven't we, Noel? And it will
It's
be
on
up
the YouTube
online.
channel. Yeah, we've given lots and lots of advice for
So it's on
corona.
YouTube.
Yeah, for the COVID, you know. And my God, I heard something on the radio today, an interview on RTE with there's research out now about ventilation and the problems that can occur when people are put on ventilators. And I was shocked to hear the level of damage that can be done to a person by being put on ventilation. So you want to avoid that at any cost, you know. So we have loads of tips on our website about, even if you do get COVID-19, even if you do pick up the virus, how to help your immunity to fight it. And then other ones about how to prevent it. Simple things like even steaming your lungs with ajwan seeds, water and ajwan seeds. And like the Indian government gave out loads of advices. Now, these haven't been picked up in the West. We don't expect them to be picked up by the medical profession. They've absolutely no interest in anything that we've got to say about anything, you know. So so you have to go look for these things yourself, really, you know. So there are lots and lots of tips on that COVID-19, on that webinar that we did on the website, you know. But as I say, I was shocked by what I heard about people going on ventilators and the high percentage of people that can have fatal results of doing that, you know. So
But Noel, if they go onto the YouTube, you know, if they scan down, having gone on to ayurveda.ie and hit the button for the YouTubes, they'll be able to find a YouTube video from us on there, won't they?
Oh yeah, just go to our YouTube channel. Just go directly to our channel. I've sent you the link out loads and loads of times in the emails that I send you. I'll send it out again tomorrow. So you go to our channel, and then all the videos that are public are there, okay? And you just scroll down through the videos. In the COVID-19 webinar, we did it ages ago. I think we did 2 or 3 of them actually, you know. But it's probably not quite a year old. But it's when the Indian government brought out all that information about how to deal with COVID. We did a webinar then, and the Indian ambassador sent us a great words of encouragement on that. And Dr. Brennan There's a lot on that thing. So just go to our YouTube channel. I'd send you the link again tomorrow, and there's loads of great information on our free website.
Even on the Ayush department website has a lot of information as well.
Yeah, AYUSH department in India as well have lots of information. And our YouTube channel, everybody should subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is where I put these videos up the next day that I send you the links. But if you subscribe to our channel and ring the little bell for notifications, you'll be sent all our videos automatically. You'll be told every time we put up a new video. Like people were asking questions there about, oh, what should we eat for lunch, and if I'm working, how do I get a good meal? All of those things are on our YouTube channel. We've got lots of recipes there. We've got shown how to make the flask lunch. All of those things are there, and you can just go and access them, and they're free on that channel. So just go and look at those videos. There's a brilliant video by Dr. Brennan on sleep, on the power of sleep, which we spoke about in that video. Because you remember when Dr. Brennan said, if something happens to you, you have an argument with somebody, and it kind of scars you, and it's playing on your mind all of the time. It's through sleep that you get rid of that dissipates over time, because the sleep allows you to deal with it, and then it lessens and lessens and lessens. But if you're not getting proper sleep, then you're hanging on to that stuff. So if you find yourself hanging on to little things that people said to you, and you're feeling bitter towards people because of something that they said or something that they did, don't forget that's doing you harm. It's not doing the other person harm. The other person that's carrying it around with you, you need to get rid of that stuff, and you need to not be hanging on to that stuff. And we do that through, various different methods, but certainly getting a good night's sleep is very important. So there's lots and lots of information on our YouTube channel, and people should definitely subscribe to it. And there's just, I don't know how many videos are there, but there's an awful lot of video information. Dr. Rajvinder has videos about making ghee, about making the detox tea, and lots of other videos that are there on that channel, So definitely it's worth taking a look at.
So,
and there's a question.
Nahid, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Dr. Nahid. You're all the way in India there.
So any advice on excessive burping? So two-person has asked this question regarding burping. So burping is because of when your vata goes out of balance. If actually when it moves from downward to upward, so then it starts expelling out vata in the form of burp. So you need to channelize vata. You need to bring your vata to the lower part of your body. You can do that by having a ajwain and haritaki. You can boil your water, a cup of water with half a teaspoon of ajwain. Just strain it and have that water. It will help you, to bring your vata to the downwards. And haritaki also can help you, like if you just have it, in the evening time with half a teaspoon with warm water, that will also help you to reduce your burping and bring your vata to the downward.
There's a nice question there from Denise Hanley. What would help with vertigo, dizziness, and nausea? So there's a lot going on there, really. I would say probably a consultation. Ginger is something that would come to mind anyway with the nausea. But maybe Dr. Rajvinder, have you any?
Yeah, it depends on why you're feeling dizzy and vertigo. Sounds like low blood pressure, or you are very vata. There's a vata imbalance going on. So we'll try to do some of the vata advice. Your main meal in the middle of the day, midday nap, depends on if you're sleeping, you're overdoing things. So kind of step back a little bit and take a little break from things if you're overwhelmed. So we have some of the remedies that depends on if this be suitable for you. Like for example, general remedies, ashwagandha, but it takes time to set your system. Sometimes doesn't suit everybody, but like a general nerve tonic could be helpful, boosting up your blood pressure. Maybe iron, might be your iron level is low, your B12 could be low, so could be a lot going on. But generally,
that's a classic situation where you need a consultation, Denise.
There is a condition called benign postural vertigo, and that's a situation where the little particles in the balance mechanism of the ear have got displaced. And if that were the cause, and probably your GP would be best to guide you, then it's a simple matter of going through some maneuvers that either the doctor or a physiotherapist would put your head through to get the particles back where they ought to be. And that's really excellent if it works, because it just completely clears the vertigo. So it might be worth seeing your doctor.
lady, she was saying the pranayam was really helping her with that BPPL situation. So if you are kind of into yoga or anything like that, try to do a bit of pranayam as well, because more oxygen to your brain cells, and that would help to kind of clear some of the vertigo symptoms.
And
So,
if you are feeling
yeah, go ahead, Nahid.
and if you are feeling nausea while you are traveling, or maybe because of the motion sickness, then cardamom can help you. You know, you can have cardamom pods along with yourself in your bag, in your purse. Just have it in your mouth and just chew it, or maybe just keep it like in the lower part of your tongue. Or you can just have cardamom powder and you can have it, you know, along with honey. So honey is also very good, you know, to balance, because nausea and vomiting is something related to kapha. So that can also help you, you know, to balance your kapha if you're traveling. If it's because of the motion sickness, then that can help you, you know, before you travel, you just have it, you know, teaspoon of half a teaspoon of cardamom powder with honey.
So
Ajita
Brent,
asks, is bottled water better than tap water? Well, bad and all as tap water can be, I would say it's superior to bottled water. And I wouldn't bother with really with bottled water. You have lots of issues there with different chemicals and also with plastic poisoning. And also you've got the fact that you're taking a drink of water that'll last a minute and you're leaving behind waste that'll be around for God knows how long, you know. Filter tap water. Get a filter and filter tap water, and then get your own stainless steel bottle or copper bottle. You can get copper bottles or stainless steel, and just put your water in that and carry it around for the day would be my advice. Sorry, Dr. Brennan, go ahead there.
Brian Gorman is taking a kilogram of chickpeas every week to get his protein. Brian, it just strikes me as a little bit unbalanced because it's a lot of chickpeas to be just devouring in a week. What really works incredibly well is a great variety of foods. So I would vary. I would have chickpeas, I'd have lentils, I'd have yellow mung dal, I'd have kidney beans, I'd have sweet peas, you know, the split peas. I'd have a great variety of pulses to get, because they'll all have approximately the same proportion of protein. However, I would go for quinoa, because quinoa has all the essential amino acids, which is amazing because usually you get them in meat, but not in a vegetarian diet. But quinoa and hemp seeds has all 8 amino acids, so you may consider them as well. And now we're up to 8 o'clock in the questions. We've caught up to the time 8 o'clock, except for Margaret, who's working permanent nights and wants help. Margaret, your best strategy there is to have a regular routine where you get up at the same time, go to bed at the same time, eat at the same time during that cycle that you're working. So you don't vary times of getting up, and go to bed and all of that. So now we're cut up to 8 o'clock. Listen, honest to God. And we have to go to 9 o'clock now. Will we ever catch up with these questions?
Yeah, well, sure.
Somebody's asking me the keto diet for Alzheimer. It depends, because keto diet could be too much of animal products, and it takes a while to kick in. So you need to get into the stage of where your body's burning on the ketones if you achieve that level. Otherwise, I would say slowly introduce more healthy fats like ghee and coconut oil or flax seeds and omega oils, and build up slowly. And then you can do the keto diet under some guidance, because it's very important. Otherwise, you end up putting on more weight rather than losing it, or things like that. So it could be helpful. There's a lot of research around keto diet with the nervous system issues. So yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, there is a variety of Alzheimer's, which is almost considered to be a third type of diabetes, where the brain cells can't use sugars for energy, and therefore they can start to decline. But they can also use ketones, so that if you're having an overnight fast, when your body is forced to use ketones or fats for energy, that is helpful for the brain. But for that particular portion of Alzheimer's, sometimes the coconut oil and the medium chain triglycerides, because they give a lot of ketones, are helpful, but not for all Alzheimer's, possibly.
Yeah.
But we've done
a few webinar on dementia.
Webinar.
That's the other thing. There are webinars for rent on our website. If you go to our shop and you go to webinars, there's 7 or 8 great webinars there. And we replayed our women's health webinar last night. We quite a lot of people on it. So there are specific topics: the thyroid cookery course. Dr. Rajvinder has 2 cookery courses up there. Dr. Brennan has one on the thyroid. and we have one on ladies' health, we've one on arthritis, we've one on brain health. So there's, you know, and Dr. Naheed is doing one on the ear, nose, and throat coming up soon. And Dr. Rajvinder is doing one on mental health coming up soon. And Dr. Brennan is planning another one on positive psychology later on. So there's just huge amounts of information there. I just want to read this one out from Mary. She said, my mom had fatal result from ventilator 8 years ago. So condolences on that, Mary. And can I ask if you have recommendations on traveling to India to study Ayurveda for retreats, etc.? Possibly not possible at the moment, Mary. There are lots and lots of colleges, Ayurvedic colleges in India. It depends on the level you want to take it to. Certainly for Panchakarma and stuff like that, send us an email. At no point now, because I don't think you could get to India even now at the moment, you know. But maybe later on when you're thinking about doing it. I did a course on Ayurveda in 2016 in Rishikesh in an Ayurvedic college there, and it was a lovely course. And there are
better in Ireland, we might do a retreat, some of the Panchakarma. We might find a location. And
yeah, actually, if anybody in Ireland can help us with that, we're thinking about for the autumn maybe.
Proper set of not a B&B or something.
Yeah, getting somewhere with, you know, where we can bring people like a post-COVID recovery thing or an immunity booster thing, just where people can do treatments. We can do Abhyangas, we can do Shirodharas, they can do lectures, we can do yoga classes, they can get good food. And we can, you know, just an Ayurvedic break, and they can get consultations with the doctors and be put on a good Ayurvedic routine, possibly not full Panchakarma, which is, you know, maybe that's, you know, we're not quite ready for that just yet, but certainly a level of Panchakarma, doing the Shirodhara, the Abhyanga, there are other treatments that we could do. So if anybody knows a nice place, maybe 10, 12 bedrooms, whatever, ensuite in a beautiful area with a kitchen that we can get access to, I mean, obviously we'd be willing to rent it and pay for it and all that. But if anybody knows a place that would be suitable, the more beautiful, the better, really, because if you're doing that, you don't really want to be doing it in a city or a town. If you can have nice fresh air around you, that's something we would definitely be interested in looking at. We're also looking at doing our own 1-year certified course, so that and we just need to negotiate that with an insurance company so that people can be insured to do treatments later on. So that's something we're hoping to do. We're getting a lot of support to do something like that. So people who would like to make a career out of Ayurveda, maybe people who are already doing something else, maybe they're yoga teachers or naturopaths or something like that, or people who just want to get training in diet and lifestyle. But obviously you need insurance if you're going to be dealing with people's health issues. So that's something we're looking at doing in the future, you know.
Listen to this question. It's shocking considering the talk we've just had. If you get up later, do you do the same morning routine, even if you get up at 10 or 11 a.m.?
I saw that question, yeah.
My God.
yeah.
Get out of that bed.
Get out of the bed is, yeah. But as I said as well, if you've been doing the same thing for a long time, but 10 or 11 o'clock is very late to get.
Yeah, let's take, that's very interesting one, Noel. You know, your circadian rhythm, your whole 24-hour pattern gets established, and so now it's established at 11 o'clock. You're getting up at bedtime, God knows what time, but you need to make that change gradually. So you come back to 10 o'clock, then you come back to 9. Now, what then ties your circadian rhythm in is your time of going to bed, your time of getting up, and your meal times. And the question came up about the change of times as we spring forward an hour next weekend. It would be better if you could make that change over a week, because it takes about a week for your circadian rhythm to rebalance after that sudden shift. So if you could, because you're going to be springing forward, getting up an hour later, as it were, and going to bed an hour later, I think, isn't that it? And then you want to go to bed, you know, a quarter of an hour, half an hour later for a couple of nights before, and then again take it forward again. So I would take it forward in sections if I wanted to get a better, smoother transition with the change of season. With the change of clock.
Change of the clock, yeah. But for that other person, they were asking, should they still do an Abhyanga and brush their teeth and all that sort of stuff, even if they're getting up at 10? I would say yes, do that, but then start bringing your rising time back. It's too late to be getting up, and you know, obviously that's just our advice. It's up to you. We're not telling anybody what time to go to bed at or what to eat or what to do. That's completely up to you how you live your life. That's your own. decision, but we're just saying from an Ayurvedic perspective, it wouldn't be considered to be healthy.
If you want hay fever and you like to have plenty of colds and you want to put on weight, definitely sleeping in the morning and upset your kapha. Go for it.
Somebody was asking, is kapha should still do the oil massage or dry brushing? Yeah, you can do alternate. If you have a bit of Vata in you, then massage, and alternate day you do dry brushing. But if you have more kapha, yeah, more dry brushing around this time of the year.
Dart Diesel says, sounds absolutely wonderful. I think this is about the retreat. Could you please come to Scotland as well? No, Dart, you have to come here. And it's not so far. I mean, there's even a ferry between Scotland and Ireland, you know. So, but no, you'll have to come here, and we'll pick you up at the airport and bring you to wherever we are. Actually, there's a town in Northern Ireland called Newcastle, and it's in County Down, and it's so it's in the UK. It's in Northern Ireland. Oh my God! Before the lockdown, myself and Dr. Brennan used to go quite a lot of walking in the Mourne Mountains. So you probably have all heard of the Mourne Mountains. And Newcastle is a town at the bottom of the Mourne Mountains, and it's an absolutely stunningly beautiful town. Stunningly beautiful. It's got the sea on it, and it's got the mountains in the background, and it's got big wide streets, and it has quite a few hotels as well. So if anybody is from Newcastle and they know anybody renting out property or anything like that, because then yeah, so as I say, it's in the UK, but it's only like 30 miles from my house here anyway, you know. But
and Dorta, a few years back, we were doing this similar thing in Scotland. We had a beautiful hotel by the sea, and we had a number of episodes of Panchakarma there. So, however, it's not happening in Scotland at the moment. You'll have to come to Ireland. What is the best time to eat fruit? Between meals. And then the question is, do you snack in Vata time? You snack when you're hungry. That's when you snack, and you don't snack if you're not hungry. But if you're going to snack between meals, it's a great time to eat fruit. What's the best time for Vinyasa, flow, yoga? I would say any time, because being such a nice, smooth flowing, it'll even settle your Vata. So I think just do it at the best time that you feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And can digestion change during menopause? It does, because you're leaving the Pitta time behind. You don't have the same power of fire in your digestive fire. So your digestion can start to get sluggish, which is why people start to put on weight then, because they don't burn off the calories anymore. Any recommendation for menopause? Last night, I think we did the whole seminar on ladies' health yet again.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, that seminar is available again to do. Stiff hip and shoulder joints, Vata problem and digestive problem, balance Vata and help digestion. We're now up to 8:15.
Okay, well, we've one last because it's 9 o'clock now. So
there are not many questions down there. I checked the questions.
I'm just finishing with this comment, okay? It's not even a question. It's Mary to everyone. And she said, Strand Hill, Sligo, beautiful. Well, Strand Hill Road is where I was born and reared, on the Strand Hill Road in Sligo. And I absolutely love Strand Hill. And out at where the cannon is, actually, I noticed the last time I was down there, which is a while ago because of the lockdown, there's a B&B facing out over the sea that's been vacant beside the seaweed baths there. That's been vacant for some time. So Mary, I want you to go and do a little bit of research into that B&B while you're down there and find out. It's quite big and it's just facing out over the sea. When you go around by the cannon and go straight down, it's on the left-hand side there. Well, they're all on the left-hand side because the car park is on the right-hand side. And I'm not sure if it's up for sale or what the story is with it, but it's not occupied. So Mary, you do a little bit of research into that for me, and then maybe we'll end up down in Strand Hill in Sligo. You couldn't end up in a more beautiful place than Strand Hill. It's got a mountain behind it called Knocknarea, and on top of Knocknarea there's a large cairn, and it's the reputed grave of Queen Maeve's grave. So there's a lot of feminine power down there as well.
Jeez,
and then from the same place you can see Ben Bulwood, which is a fantastic mountain as well.
Just they're all now and they're gone into dream mode, like they're all advising their place.
Sligo
I come too.
Dream mode. Sligo is the most dream mode county in the whole country. Absolutely.
And Noel's from Sligo. That is his birthplace. So
yeah.
My birthplace. It's full of Sligo is like well, William Butler Yeats was from Sligo, so a lot of his poetry was influenced by that. but it's definitely, you wouldn't be surprised if you saw fairies and leprechauns when you were walking around the place. It's like,
Yeah,
And
and
the Dorothy
Mary
said-
wants a seaweed bath while she's at it.
yeah, why not? Why not? We can do that. We can do that as well.
And the Dorothy said she'll come from Scotland to Ireland if it's by the sea.
And then
So-
Ali says, Strandhill, yes, yes, yes. Fabulous energy there from Ali Denver.
Ali,
Yes, Ali,
yeah.
correct, you know. It needs to
Molly
be a
needs-
place by the sea. I'm Pitta. So we can do Ayurveda in the morning and we can do surfing lessons in the afternoon. I'm not too sure how they'll go together, but anyway. Okay, listen, we're gone past 9 o'clock, so it's time to start winding down. Bring your mountain bike, exactly, yeah. Okay, everybody, that's fantastic. So very interesting class tonight. So our last lesson is on Thursday at 7:30. So what I'll do tomorrow is I'll send you the link to the YouTube channel. So I'm sure a lot of you want to start looking up those videos there, because there's answers to a lot of the questions there that are there that are on those videos. And also I'll send a link to where our webinars are that you can rent from our website, you know. And then on Thursday, we're going to have our last lesson in the course. We're also adding on a lesson on the 6 stages of disease that we're going to do in April. So there is an extra lesson coming up. It's another very important aspect of Ayurveda. How can you tell, or, you know, in Ayurveda, a disease just doesn't happen. It's created over time, and there are various different stages to it. And the earlier you can catch it, the better, and reverse it. So we're going to go and take a look at that and tell you things that you could do to pick up if you feel if there is a disease coming on, and what you can do to reverse it and everything like that. So Dr. Naheed, thanks very much for staying up and coming on this evening. Dr. Rajvinder, thank you. And Dr. Brennan, thank you for everything there. And
Thank you, Noel. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everybody, for being with us.
And thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and we'll see you on Thursday. And our yoga class is tomorrow night. So don't forget our yoga and breathing class is tomorrow night and again on Saturday. But Dr. Rajvinder does the class tomorrow night. And I got so many emails in from people about the free class we did. And not about my asanas, but about Dr. Rajvinder's pranayama, relaxing exercises at the end of it. People wanting us to make CDs of that and everything like that. So, yeah, so definitely. And Dr. Rajvinder gives most of the class, but she gives all of the class tomorrow night, you know. So, and then the two of us divide the class on Saturdays. So, is there a class for detox? Vatsala, we're doing the detox course, and you missed the webinar. It's on the website. The detox webinar it's on the website. So it's on the YouTube channel. So go and take a look at that. We did a whole webinar on detox about 2 weeks ago.
What do you mean by class for detox? Maybe she's asking something else. I don't know. Maybe the webinar. We are doing webinar before the detox because she's doing detox. Vatsala is doing detox.
Oh, yeah.
Have our webinar on Friday.
On Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. That's
on Friday.
Don't worry about it. You'll get an email about that for everyone that signed up for the detox, you know.
And there is a yoga class this Saturday. Yes,
yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Namaste, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye. Bye.
Good night. Sleep well.